Using a primary source, an instructional video on how to look critically at primary sources. There are 3 steps to analyzing a primary source: observe, reflect, and question. Let's give it a try with this primary source. The first step of using a primary source is to observe. When I observe this image, I see at the top left corner it says War Expenditures and has a picture of stacks of coins. Next, I notice images of warcraft that are consistent with those used during World War II. Then I notice the text that says Munitions Production. I also see this line that extends from the bottom of the page to the top. There's also numbers down the left side of the page that seem to correspond with graph lines. Along the top of the page, I see dates: 1941, 1942, and 1943. Finally, upon close inspection of the left-hand side of the page, I notice it looks curved. Next, reflect on your observations. Ask yourself questions like, where did this come from? Why was it created? Who is the intended audience? Why is this important? And what can I learn from examining this? When I think about the curved text, it makes me wonder, did this come from a book or maybe a magazine? The years on the top of the page provide an indication of the time period this document is from. When you combine the images of the warcraft, the text reading munitions production, the line across the page, and the years across the top, makes me think that perhaps we're seeing a line graph demonstrating the increase in munitions production from 1941 to 1943. When I observed the war expenditures, I noticed that there was a drastic difference between the amount spent in 1941 and the amount spent in 1943. The final step to observing a primary source document is to ask questions to lead to more observations and reflections. With this source, I find myself asking, who made this? What sort of audience was this intended for? The general public or a specific group of people? Why does it only feature the early years of the U.S. involvement in World War II, as opposed to the duration of the war? And what caused the increase in munitions production and war expenditures?